Whether you are a new player or you haven't played in years, or, you're just interested in housing but you don't want to take the fun out of it by tryharding all the time, this is the gold guide for you. If this guide was helpful to you, don't forget to subscribe, and if you want to see what you can do with the housing system, check out some of our housing tours linked down below. We're going to talk about how to get the most out of gathering, the casual, easygoing method of gold farming. It is something you can do when you've got a few minutes here and there, when you're bored, second monitor type stuff, Yeah, there might be more lucrative farms out there, but remember, this is meant to be a casual guide. What makes gathering special is that anyone can do it. You don't need to be super geared, you don't need to farm some reputation, hell, you don't even need to be at max level. All you need is access to the current zones. Now, real quick, I've seen a ton of people worried about gold prices, so let's establish how much you actually need. What is a reasonable budget? Well, in terms of gold, you really don't need very much at all. Housing is surprisingly cheap. On the PTR, buying a house was only 1,000 gold, and once you bought it, it's yours. All of your characters have access to the home, both Horde and Alliance, which means that 1,000 gold price is for your whole account. You only pay it once. It's also permanent. A lot of players are coming from Final Fantasy XIV, where you have to compete for homes, and if you don't log in often enough, they take your house away from you. I am happy to say that none of that is in World of Warcraft. Buying a house is 1,000 gold, and once you've bought it, it's yours forever across your whole account. Okay, but what about decoration? Do I need to be Mr. Moneybags from Spyro in order to have a house that looks good? Again, not really. Decor tends to range from 10 gold to 150 gold per item, and it's not like you're gonna need 100 copies of every rock or whatever. Honestly, you can get a pretty nice looking home for pretty cheap. I'd say anywhere from 10 to 25k is going to get you very far in the housing system. To put that into perspective, even if every item you buy is at that 150 gold price, 25,000 is enough to get you more than 160 copies of whatever you want. And remember, most items will cost less, so honestly, I think that 25,000 is a reasonable starting goal, and you can definitely get away with spending less. So let's talk about how to get the most out of gathering. First, grab a 70+ druid. They don't need to be geared or anything like that, they just need to have access to all the current zones. While not mandatory, the reason we pick a druid is because druids can gather while in flight form, which is gonna make things way easier. Take your druid to Dornegal and train them in both herbalism and mining. Now, while you're here, make sure to buy some Phials of Truesight off of the auction house. This is actually super important. This potion lets you see extra herbs and ores that are normally hidden. Not only do you get to gather more, but these hidden nodes are worth extra points towards your profession. The cheap 1-star version will work perfectly, and the extra mats that you get will more than pay for the cost. Always remember to keep your Truesight potion active 100% of the time. It is that much of a boon. And then what we'll do is fly around the current zones. When you see a node on your mini-map, pop down, pick it up, and move on. When you hit 25 in your profession, you unlock specialization. Your first point should go into botany for herbalism and mining fundamentals for mining. These give you 1 vigor whenever you gather a node, which makes sure that you never run out of juice while you're flying around. If you happen to have a lot of profession knowledge, you can put 5 points into this for the extra bonus, but do make sure that you save some points for later. When you hit 50 in each profession, your next specialization should be overloading the underground for herbalism and mastering the mysterious for mining. These buff your overload ability, which we will talk about in just a moment. Once again, if you have a lot of points, you can take each of these to 5 for the extra bonus. I recommend the crystallized sub-spec for herbalism because the return portal is very convenient. Once you hit 75, you can dump the rest of your points into Bountiful Harvest for herbalism and Plethora of Ore for mining. These specs are focused on increasing the quality of mats that you get from gathering. On my server, tier 3 mats tend to be worth more than double, so putting our points here has the potential to increase our return quite a bit. And it shouldn't take too long to get there. Starting at completely zero and flying around only the Isle of Dorn, nowhere else, I was able to hit 50 in both professions in about half an hour, and by the 45-minute mark, I had hit 75 in both. While gathering, you have a chance to get little items that give profession knowledge. Make sure to use them whenever you can. If you haven't gathered before, Overload is an ability that goes in your spellbook that allows you to get an extra effect from specialized herbs and ores around the map. These special nodes will have unique names like Crystallized or Easy Mine, and they have this glowing symbol on the minimap. A quick tip for overloading is to always gather the node before casting Overload. This lets you double dip. Using Easy Mine as an example, if you overload first, there is not enough time to get both the main node and the bonus little ones. But if instead you gather first, then overload second, you have tons of time to get all the little ores around it. So always remember to gather first, overload second. The overload cooldown gets shorter every time you gather, so make sure that you overload as often as possible. Crystallized herbs and easy mine ores are my favorite to overload, but it doesn't really matter too much. Just make sure that you're using it on cooldown. Once your bags are full, or, you get bored, head back to the auction house and sell your mats for whatever the going rate happens to be. The add-on Auctionator makes this really easy. If you have the Auctionator add-on, you can simply hit the selling tab, click the mat, and hit post. In just the 45 minutes that I flew around only the Isle of Dorn and nowhere else, I was able to get around 9,000 gold. Keep in mind that I started at 0, and I did not go to the newest zones. Once you've done this a couple of times, your skill will be high enough that you will be getting far more tier 2 and 3 materials, so your return will be higher. If you go to other new zones with higher quality nodes, you can earn even more. One quick extra tip is that if you go into the Crafter's Enclave in Dornegal, there is a one-time quest from Roldira that awards a large amount of Artisan's Acuity. You can then take this Acuity to Lyrindal a few feet away and buy an item that will give you 15 knowledge points in either profession, which in a way gives you a jump start on the points you'll need to get the higher quality materials. If you're someone who will be doing this enough that you know you will make up for the cost, you can buy some profession equipment off of the auction house as well. Profession equipment comes with a good chunk of stats, and in the long run can increase the return on your gathering. If you happen to have an alt who can craft it instead, that may be cheaper. One final thing to note is that at the beginning of expansions, this method is significantly more lucrative. If you are someone who has paid for the 3-day early access to the next expansion, you can spend those early days just gathering and make so much gold that you probably won't need to do this again for the rest of the expansion. For everyone else who plans to farm before midnight comes out, I hope that this was helpful, and let me know if there are any other guides you'd like to see or any questions that you have in the comments down below.